Hey there, Curaleaf traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. Today is Tuesday, March 5th. Hope you're doing awesome. And in this video, we're going to do an earnings prep video for Curaleaf's Q4 2023 earnings, which is scheduled for tomorrow. We'll discuss all of the analyst estimates, and I'll add up all of the estimates, and we'll get a consensus on what to expect in terms of revenue and EPS. And then towards the end, I'll bring up the chart. We'll take a look at the technicals, and I'll give my thoughts and opinions on what we could expect in terms of earnings, and then what the tea leaves are saying on the chart, and what to expect in terms of price action in the days, weeks, months ahead. But let me know in the comments section below. Do you think they're going to beat estimates, or do you think they're going to miss on analyst estimates? And again, I'll give you the numbers in a moment. So once I give you the numbers, then you can let me know if you think they're going to beat or miss. But full disclosure, I do own Curaleaf in my portfolio. I've done a video on my entire MJ portfolio 2024 update with percentages. If you haven't seen that, you can just search for it. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment and informational purposes only. You should never ever buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or anything that I write. Also, you can like the video, subscribe. I would appreciate it. Love each and every one of you. Tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos whenever I go live, etc. Also, you can follow us over on X, which is formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward, and really do appreciate all of the followers that I've gotten recently over there as well. So the earnings release will be tomorrow, and it will be the report for fourth quarter and full fiscal year end 2023 financial and operational results. So again, this isn't the actual calendar quarter, it's fiscal quarter. Some companies have different fiscal year ends. So in this case, we're going to be discussing, even though it's Q1 2024, we're going to be discussing their fourth quarter 2023 and fiscal year end. So it'll be for the fourth quarter and full fiscal year 2023. They will report financial and operating results for the fourth quarter ended December 31st, 2023, after market close tomorrow, March 6th. Management will also host a conference call and audio webcast in the afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and there's all of the details there on how to join that. I will do my best to join, but I'm not 100% sure, never 100% sure anymore with the little one. Looking after my daughter has been a task, but she's super sweet, so makes it all worthwhile. So we'll take a look at some of the analyst estimates. So again, if you're not familiar with these new earnings prep videos, essentially I've been doing them for a while now, but if it's new to you, we go over all of the analyst estimates, and then I add them all up, and then we get an average, and that's basically Wall Street consensus, right? And then we see what the number is for revenue, what's forecasted there, what's forecasted for EPS, earnings per share, and then if they come in actual with a number much better, then we would expect upside. If they come in much worse, then we would expect downside. Pretty simple, right? So the number that we're expecting here on investing.com is 337.72 million USD, and they're forecasting negative 0.05 in terms of EPS. If we go to TradingView, you can see pretty similar, negative 0.05 for EPS and estimated revenue at 337.745 million. If we bring up Moomoo platform, you can see revenue here based on 12 analysts, which I love that they give you how many analysts there are. And this is in USD as well, 337.635 million. So there's not really any question here that everybody seems to be expecting. Pretty confident we're going to see somewhere around that 337 million. And then EPS, they are forecasting negative 0.04, so slightly better than the rest. But essentially what I've gone ahead and done was I added them up on the calculator. So if we do revenue first, I just took all three, divided by 3. They're pretty similar anyway, but we're expecting 337.7 million USD in terms of revenue. And then in terms of earnings per share, again, take all three of them, add them up, divide by 3. We're expecting negative 0.046 for EPS. So if they come in at negative 0.01, that's going to be a big beat and should be great for the stock. And we should see some momentum to the upside as long as the S&P 500 doesn't continue to bleed out. It's been weak for the last day or so, and that could be headwinds instead of tailwinds. So it's really going to depend on how big they miss or how big they beat, and then what the rest of the sector is doing. If we wake up and everything's down 5% and the S&P 500 is down 1% or 2%, well, then it's probably going to be headwinds from the sector and the broader market, not necessarily the results itself, right? But if they come in at negative 0.08, that's going to be a pretty big miss, and that could result in downside. And if the broader market is weak, then even more downside, right? Even more headwinds. But again, if they come in at 349 million in terms of revenue, then that's a big beat. So we'll be watching. Those are the numbers. If you want to take a screenshot of that, negative 0.046 for EPS. You could round that up to negative 0.047 if you wanted, and then 337.7 million USD. And then we'll take a look at the chart here and what to expect in terms of technicals. So I'm just going to chart Cura because it's on the TSX, which we know they recently listed to the TSX. It's not looking good at all, to be honest. We had an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. We're heading to potential daily oversold conditions. A lot of these names look to be heading to daily oversold. Same thing with MSOS, and we haven't been daily oversold. It doesn't go back as far on this chart here, but if we bring up Cura on the NEO exchange, you can see here we haven't been oversold on the daily time frame since October, which is the exact same as the S&P 500. So if we were following the broader market, which USMJ seems to be doing quite a lot lately, then if the S&P 500 is heading to daily oversold, and it's basically what we would expect for USMJ as well, right? The odds of that, the broader market weighing down on us are going to increase the odds that we should see daily oversold conditions as well, right? And again, it's been since October. Same thing with USMJ, same thing with the S&P 500 since we've been daily oversold. So the fact that we're seeing an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross here, the fact that we haven't been daily oversold since October, and that looks to be where we're heading. We're currently sitting at 43.29, and 30 and below is considered oversold. And then also, we'll look at a couple other bearish patterns here. So we did lose the daily uptrend here. We had a low, high, higher low, and higher high. Then once we came down and lost 664, that lost the daily uptrend. But let's go back to the TSX here. And you can see, yeah, we're seeing another bear cross there as well on the TSX exchange, the Toronto Stock Exchange. And then if we take a look at the weekly time frame here, you can see we lost the 10-week moving average, and the stochastic was the clue, right? And again, this is something I've been saying for a while. If you've been following my channel for a while now in my analysis, I usually see when we start to see a momentum shift to the upside or the downside, usually the stochastic goes first on the weekly, then we get a close above the 10-week moving average, we get back above it, then we have a MACD bull cross. In this case, you can see the MACD didn't really cross bullish until the end of December, but the stochastic crossed bullish back in the mid-November, right? So like a month before that, it crossed bullish. So that was a bit of a clue that we were going to see major momentum and upside start to shift to back to bulls. And then we get above the 10-week moving average and then the MACD. So now what are we seeing? The opposite of that. We're seeing the stochastic cross bearish, which happened first week of February. And now we're seeing the MACD cross bearish, which happened first week of March, again, another month later. And we lost the 10-week moving average, and that was last week. So the chain of events is stochastic, then 10-week moving average, then MACD. Same thing on the downside. Stochastic cross bearish, then we lost the 10-week moving average bearish, and now we're seeing the MACD bear cross. So the fact that the MACD is just starting to cross bearish, I'm going to have to lean bearish into these earnings. I either think they might come in with a slight miss or somewhere in line with analyst estimates or a slight miss. And then I think we're going to see headwinds from the broader market as well. The S&P 500, like I said, if we just bring up the SPY chart, you can see that the S&P 500 off of its high from yesterday, 514.20 was the high, and the low of the day today at 504.91. So essentially from that high of yesterday to the low of today, the S&P 500 pulled back almost 2%, so 1.8%. We're coming off daily overbought territory, and we're still holding that key support there at 504.75. So we hit 504.91. So right now it's all about that support. If we lose 504, we're probably heading back down to around 493, 500 psychological. And it's been a while since we had a daily EMA 12 and 26 bear cross on the S&P 500. That just happened on Curaleaf, and the last time this happened on the S&P 500 was way back here in September, and then we went to daily oversold territory in October. And then we had a bull cross and then massive upside. Ever since that bull cross, they're up 18% on the S&P 500. That's more than what we expect in a year sometimes, right? Annual average return. So I would say we're probably going to be seeing a daily EMA 12 and 26 bear cross over this week or next week, I would say, as the most likely scenario. And then I think we're going to start to see Feds start to cut rates into the summertime, which would be very bullish for the market. But then probably 4 or 6 months after that is when you really want to start being careful and where the top could be in. Also still watching Congress banning themselves from owning stocks as a potential major top indicator. But like I said, SPY could be heading toward daily oversold as well. Daily EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. We basically have no support all the way down to 466. So MJ is not set up well if the S&P 500 were to see a healthy correction on the weekly time frame and a pull back to those weekly EMAs, which EMA 12 would bring us to around 491. And that'd just be healthy, right? That'd be extremely healthy. But the S&P 500 is a weekly bull flag. It was a low, high, higher low, and then you move out to the 0.382 fib there. And we were targeting 521 on the weekly bull flag. So we're still waiting to see that follow. We came very close though. We hit 514, right? So in terms of percentages, we came within 1.1% essentially. So this could be our top for now. We know we're definitely due for weekly consolidation. We haven't consolidated on the weekly time frame now in 9 weeks or 62 days. So it's all about the low of last week there at 504.75. That is our key line in the sand support. Lose that, probably heading to 500 or 491 not too long after that. So like I said, this is going to be potential major headwinds, and right now not looking so hot on the Curaleaf chart. If you're looking for where we could potentially bottom out on Curaleaf, we do have a major level of support there at $5.55 and then $5 psychological. That would probably put us somewhere around that daily oversold territory. And then we can also watch the MSOS as well, which tracks all of the US major producers, right? So when MSOS hits daily oversold, we're also seeing EMA 12 and 26 bear across there as well. And then in terms of the weekly time frame, it's right on weekly support at 828, and we hit 824. So we did lose weekly support, and we have nothing nearby until 599. And the likelihood of MSOS forming a weekly higher low is very high because we have tons of room, right? Just from the recent low this week, we could still drop another 27% and still be in a weekly uptrend, right? So I think I've done a recent video on MSOS as well. So if you haven't seen that video, you can check that out for more detailed analysis on that. But we are holding the 50 weekly here, or sorry, the 100 weekly moving average at $6. Lose that, then it's the 50 weekly there at 502. So all about the low there. And this is on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So $5 psychological going to be very, very strong support as well. If we do end up losing $6, but at the moment, we'll just take it as it comes, and I'm definitely leaning bearish into tomorrow. We're also losing the 50-day moving average, and we have the 100 there at 566 and the 200 there at 518. So a lot of support there in that mid fives to $5 range. But I'm gonna have to lean bearish into tomorrow, just based on the weekly chart here. Just basically seeing the weekly MACD bear across. The rest of MJ not looking too hot. Looks like the S&P 500 heading to daily oversold territory. So if I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would say we're either going to come in with a slight miss or, pretty much flat, pretty much what we were expecting. And then because of the weakness in the broader market, which I think could spill over into tomorrow, maybe even the rest of the week, I think that's going to weigh on us, and it's going to be headwinds. But let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Also, let me know what you think of these earning prep videos. Also, let me know if there's any other type of content you'd like to see more or less of. Always love hearing from you. Love each and every one of you. Going to net there, though, it's Rod with Powell Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Have a great night, and we'll see you again on the next video.